Hi again, here we are with another MasterGMAT sentence correction question, and I promise you that the next ones will have to do with critical reasoning, but for now we're still going to play around with sentence correction. This is a short one, short and sweet, hopefully not too difficult, and as you already know by past videos, if you want to try it out, you can pause the recording and then unpause it to hear the explanation. So if you want to try it on your own, you can actually pause the recording starting now. Good. Hope that wasn't too difficult. So let's go through this together. First step in our MasterGMAT work order is to read the question and find anywhere from 0 to 2 errors in the underlined portion. So here we go. Modern English is basically the original Celtic English language to which has been added Germanic, French, and Latin words. So the first thing we do is to look for an error in the underlined portion, and if we can identify one, then we obviously eliminate anything with that same error. So here we go. To which relative pronoun which goes back to language, that's okay. The has been, a verb, has been added. It's a verb in the present perfect, passive in this case. But present perfect, we have nothing in the sentence indicating that it should be otherwise, so present perfect tense is fine. So is the passive in this case, even though passive is not really a great thing to use in the GMAT, it's still acceptable, but we're not going to worry about stylistic issues right now, just grammar. What else do we have? We have Germanic, French, and Latin words, so a string of 3 words, a list, so we have to be careful with parallelism. We obviously notice that Germanic, French, and Latin are all adjectivals, which basically modify the word words. So that works fine, and it's logically parallel, no problems there. Let's go back to that little verb over here that has been added. One of the main things we have to look for when we have a verb is basically whether it agrees with the subject. Now, what is the subject? This is the tricky bit. Notice that the subject, we have to ask the right questions. What is being added and what is being added to what? In this case, what's being added are the words. The words are being added to the modern English. So the actual subject are the Germanic, French, and Latin words. Therefore, here we have a case of the subject following the verb and not being before the verb, as is usually the case. Therefore, we get rid of any singular verbs that make the same mistake. We get rid of A and we get rid of E. Our stop sign here is obviously a verb which precedes a subject. So now that we found that error and it doesn't exist anywhere else because all the other ones actually fix that singular verb, that singular verb and make it into plural. As we can see, have been added, and have been added are all fine. Now we have to look for other grammar errors within the answer choices themselves. Let's take a look. In B, and also Germanic, French, and Latin words have been added. Well, we don't see a grammar error over here, so obviously we're going to have to keep it. In C, to which have been added German, French, and Latin words, that also seems okay. No grammar errors, we keep. In D, to which Germanic, French, and Latin words have been added, same thing. No errors in terms of grammar. What do we do now? Well, the most important step now is to actually look for stylistic issues. When we're done looking for grammar errors, we look for stylistic issues such as redundancies or passives and things like that, and we eliminate stylistic issues. So let's go back to B and see if there are any changes. And also, Germanic, French, and Latin words have been added. Now take a look back at this word also. Also is actually there for nothing. It's an addition which we don't need. It's actually redundant. Why? Because we have an also and we have the word and. Completely redundant. We don't need both those words. They mean exactly the same thing. So there's a stylistic error right there. Can get rid of that redundancy in C. to which have been added German, French, and Latin words. Well, over here it did fix the singular and made it into plural with have been added, and nothing else is really changed. Don't see any stylistic errors, maybe passive, but we have to check that against the last one as well. Look at D, to which Germanic, French, and Latin words have been added. Right, over here what we actually have is a little bit of a change. Suddenly we have Germanic words have been added. Now this could be a little bit different. In the beginning we had German words over here in C, and now we have Germanic words. Now, what would be correct over here? Why would they add German words versus Germanic words? Well, obviously in C we have a bit of a change of meaning. German words are different than Germanic words. Germanic words are a whole group of words originating from the Germanic, but German word suddenly changes the meaning just a little bit. And we don't need to make that change. If it doesn't actually help with the question, there's no reason to change anything over here. And in fact, if we click on C, obviously we took a lot more than 10 seconds. You're already familiar with our time awareness tool, the tool that helps us become very aware of how long we take. Let's take a look. So it says, while this answer choice corrects the original subject-verb agreement mistake and is grammatically correct, it changes the original meaning by changing the word Germanic to German. The Germanic language group is not the same as today's German language. So obviously we get to try it again, and we know that this is the last remaining answer choice. No stylistic issues, no grammar errors. Let's click on that, and of course we get a very good, very obvious answer, and that's it. That's how we attack this little question. The lesson to take away from this is always, firstly, pay attention to verbs which precede the subject, and secondly, after you're finished looking for grammar errors in your answer choices, always pay attention to the little changes, because those little changes can have a lot to do with stylistic issues and meaning changes. So until next time, we'll see you.